everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Kalika and you're probably going to be a better person after watching this video. Entitled Mom Wants My Parking Spot. A bit of backstory here. I am in my late 20s and served in the army, US. I ended up being in a convoy that hit an IED and they had to remove my right leg. I did rehab and eventually got a prosthetic, but I still ended up getting a disabled veteran license plate as well as the placard you hang from your mirror. Now on to the story. A few days ago, I had to go to an outlet mall to pick up a few things for my friend's birthday. Usually I don't mind walking from a further spot, but if I can snag a spot up front or a handicap spot, I always will. I park my truck, get out and go into the store. As I walk in, this car behind me in the parking lot honks her horn really loudly. I falter for a moment and out of curiosity turn around and look for the source. Enter entitled Mum, leaning out of her window yelling to me, "Could you please move your car? My kids are awfully tired and I am pregnant, we shouldn't have to walk." Stunned for a second, I didn't know exactly how to respond. I looked back at my truck to make sure that I was parked in one of the handicapped spaces before turning back to her and walking to the edge of the sidewalk so I didn't have to yell. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I'm clearly parked in a handicapped spot and I don't want to move my truck." She gets mad at that and yells back, "You have nothing wrong with you. I bet that isn't even your tag, is it? You know it's wrong to use others' disabilities to your own gain." Now, I have been harassed a few times about my tag, but no one has ever accused me of using someone else's tag before. I'm pretty non-confrontational as a general rule of thumb, so instead of answering to this woman, I just turn around and walk back to the store with this woman calling me a B and telling me she's gonna call the cops on me. I ignore her and go about my business. I'm inside the store for around 20 minutes, and when I come back out, the entitled parent is standing there with her 2 children, talking with a police officer who is parked behind my truck. "There is that nasty woman who was cussing at me and my children. You should arrest her for using someone else's disabled tag. That will teach her a lesson for sure." I am so done with this woman at this point, I just walk up to my car, dump my bags into the bed of my truck and say, "What gives you the right to accuse me like that? I haven't done anything to you. You were just being lazy and didn't want to walk from a further parking space." To which she replies, "You aren't disabled at all. You look so normal, there is no way you have a disability." I reply, "You are right, I do look normal and I hide my disability because seeing the way people look at me with pity in their eyes only makes it worse." At this point the cop interjects into the conversation. "I ran the plates on the vehicle. Are you Stephanie?" I reply by giving him my ID and then I bend down and pull up my pant leg. The look of shock and mortification on her face was the perfect way to end the confrontation. Moral of the story: just because someone doesn't look like they have a disability doesn't mean they don't. Please don't go around harassing people who park in handicapped spots who actually have the tags and placards. This happened a few years ago, but I'm still annoyed. I was at Disneyland with a bunch of friends in a gift shop trying on Mickey Mouse ears when a lady, entitled Mum, came up to me and asked if she could borrow a bit of change because her son, entitled Brat, wanted a souvenir to show off to his class. Entitled Brat was looking around the shop. He looked around 6 or 7. I gave her a little bit of money and then she looked at me, square in the eyes and said, "I'm sorry, that's not enough. Please may I have a little bit more?" I didn't want to make a scene because people were looking at me and her. I faintly remember some teens holding drinks watching us. One girl had raised eyebrows and looked kind of shocked at entitled parent, and turned to her friends who also looked shocked. I reluctantly gave her some more change and bought the gold glittery ears I wanted and left the shop. My friends who were waiting outside holding their things were telling me that I shouldn't have given her any money. I decided to move on because I wanted to go on a ride. I waited in line with my friends for a long time, and then entitled parent came along with entitled Brat and pushed past everyone in line and hitched in front of us. I got angry. Me: "Excuse me, could you go to the back and wait your turn like everybody else?" Then I realized it was entitled parent. Entitled parent: "Oh hi hun, I decided to go to you since we're friends now." My friend: Lady, weren't you the person that she gave money to?" Entitled parent: "Yes, she is very, very kind." Entitled Brat was standing there holding a snow globe in one hand, lolly in the other. Me: "That doesn't mean we're friends." Entitled parent: But you're so nice. We really should be. My other friend, lady, take the hint and get your ass to the back of the queue. Entitled parent, excuse me? My baby is right here and your language is disgusting. Disney employee, DE, that overhears what's going on. Excuse me, ma'am, do you know these people? Entitled parent, yes, they're my friends. Disney worker turns to me. Disney worker, do you know this lady? Me, no. My friend. My friend gave her money in the gift shop earlier and she thinks it gives her the rights to push in queue. Disney worker, ma'am, just get to the back of the line. Entitled parent explodes and shouts something along the lines of, I deserve the rights to get in front of this group of brats because one of them shouted near my son. Entitled brat starts crying because of the commotion and security is called. The holdup was a long time because she wouldn't get out of the line. Entitled brat was too small for the ride anyway. I didn't hear from entitled parent again. After 30 minutes, they finally let us on the ride. A mother demands I take my horse to the vet or she'd call the RSPCA because he coughed. This happened to me several years ago while I was 15. At that time, I owned a horse named Oscar. He was a black gypsy cob with a white stripe down his face. On this particular day, it was sunny, hot, and dusty. I had Oscar tied up outside as I tacked him up as me and 4 of my friends were all going to go riding to a lake because of the heat. While I'm grooming Oscar and putting on his saddle, I see a mother and her small child walking around the farm. Let's call them entitled mother and child. The little girl, about 4, sees Oscar and immediately starts cooing, "Horsey, horsey," as she reached towards him. She was a sweet and adorable little girl, so I let her pet him, as she asked his name and even gave her a polo mint to feed him. Due to the dust and heat, Oscar started to cough. When a horse coughs, their whole body jumps and it looks painful, but it's totally normal. He coughs numerous times, so I quickly adjust his saddle so I can get him some water. Child seems worried. Is he okay? Is he sick? Me. No, sweetheart, he's just got a frog in his throat. Child. Will you take him to the vet? It's an innocent question, so I do not pay much attention. Me. He doesn't need the vet, he's just thirsty. I'll get his water. I leave Oscar and the girl to fill up a small bucket with water, but when I return, her mother is standing there, holding the still worried child in her arms. Entitled mother. Excuse me, do you own this horse? Me. Yes, I do. Something wrong? Entitled mother snaps at me. Yes, there's something wrong. Child told me your horse is sick and needs a vet, but you won't take him? I'm a little shocked by this as Oscar is happily drinking his water and is the picture of health. Me. Oscar does not need a vet, he was just thirsty. I told the child this. The entitled mother was not having this. Entitled mother. Your horse was coughing. You need to take him to the vet. Her sudden shouting gave Oscar a fright. He snorted and pulled back against the rope with his ears back. I went to settle him while she continued. Entitled mother. See? He's clearly not right. Call a vet now. At this point, child is being very quiet, watching everything with teary eyes. Me, as I try to reassure Oscar. Stop screaming, you're scaring my horse. Entitled mother. You should not have a horse if you're going to ignore his health. I should call the RSPCA. Me. Please go away, my horse is not sick, he does not need a vet. The entitled mother continues to berate me for my horse's non-existent health problems. Child at this point is crying because of her mother shouting and Oscar's nervous dancing on the spot. The whole yard is watching, but do not intervene. It is a known horseman rule that when someone is dealing with a highly strung and flighty horse, allow only one person to deal with it. The flighty and high-strung horse in the question being the entitled mother. Finally, the farmer, F, stormed over, having heard the commotion. F looks angry. What is going on? Entitled mother points her finger at me like a pistol. This girl is neglecting her horse. Farmer looks at Oscar standing there with his shiny coat and fat barrel belly as he contently munched on his hay. Nothing wrong at all. Farmer. Original poster has had Oscar for 2 years. She is not abusive. You've been scaring the horses and mistreating one of my liveries. I want you off my land now. Entitled mother seems to totally ignore him. Not until you call the SPCA. Farmer. I'll call the police if you do not leave. Get. That finally got the entitled mother to leave, dragging her upset daughter with her. Everyone is a bit upset over what happened, but we still went on the trek. Oscar was a little jumpy and anxious for the rest of the day, but was fine. I have had clueless people approach me about my horse before, but this was a whole new level. But on the bright side, I did see that sweet little girl many more times on the yard, but with her father or grandmother. Two people who thankfully understood that an animal coughing is not a cruelty issue. Entitled mother refuses to let me break up with her daughter. This is a story that is short and sweet, my dudes. When I was 18, I dated a woman that I had met on a schoolies trip. For the Australians out there, you know what that is, and you know that this was a bad idea. For about 8 months. She was a genuinely nice lady. She had her quirks. However, what properly weirded me out were her parents. Based on a few interactions I've had with them being way too comfortable with us being sexually active, being very proactive with me meeting the extended family, making sure I had family dinners, etc, etc. I was already a bit on edge with them, but they mostly seemed like okay people, I guess. Regardless, my ex, let's call her Joanne, and I eventually started to grow apart. One day, after a dinner near my place, we got to talking and I blurted out that I didn't really want to do this anymore. In retrospect, this was not the best way to do this at all, but it needed to be done. After some angry and tearful goodbyes, she left and drove home, and I went to bed. Over a few days, Joanne and I talked once or twice, mostly her asking if we could get this to work and me bluntly saying that it wasn't going to happen. In retrospect, I was being an a-hole, but who wasn't a bit of an a-hole when they were younger? However, about a week after we broke up, I received a call from Entitled Mother. She called me, out of the blue, a few days after Joanne and I had stopped talking. Obviously, I didn't answer. Fair enough, Joanne deserves closure, Entitled Mother does not. Within 10 minutes after she had called, I received a text message that was a page long. It basically detailed how I had made a mistake, but not in the "my daughter is great" sort of protective parent way, in the "I would like you to remain with my daughter and remain in the family" sort of arranged parent way. It was the weirdest thing I had ever seen. I didn't reply to the text obviously, because both I and others thought it would aggravate the situation. To her credit, I received an apology a few days later, but I think that was mostly because Joanne had found out and was understandably mortified. So there we go. I once had an experience with a mother so entitled that for a time she refused to let me leave a relationship because she wanted me to stay in the family. Not the worst thing I've seen on this sub, but definitely one of the weirder interactions I've had. Okay, so that's it for r/entitled parents. As always, if you do want to see more content like this, then please do subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!